Before I start, I want to ask you to subscribe to my channel for more real-life stories like this and share your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your opinions. It started with a text. My wife, Sarah, sent me a simple message. Business trip, I'll be back soon. Nothing unusual. She traveled often for work, and I was used to long weekends alone. But that day, something in her tone, something I couldn't put my finger on, felt different. I remember staring at that text for longer than I should have, a knot forming in my stomach. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe I was just overthinking. But I had this urge to see her, to check that everything was fine. I decided impulsively, perhaps foolishly, to surprise her. I wouldn't wait for her to come home. I'd drive to her hotel, maybe catch a dinner together. A small gesture to show her I cared. When I arrived in the city, I texted her to say I was in town. No reply. Okay, maybe she was in meetings. I waited. Hours passed, and the silence started to gnaw at me. My stomach twisted. I called her. Went straight to voicemail. Texted again. Nothing. The clock ticked painfully, each second heavier than the last. Finally, I reached the hotel where I thought she'd be staying. Reception said no one by her name was checked in. I felt my chest tighten. Maybe she switched hotels, I told myself. Maybe she's just busy. But deep down, a cold fear settled over me, creeping along my spine. I drove to the office address she'd given me. The receptionist looked puzzled when I asked for her. She hasn't been in the office today, she said. I laughed nervously at first, trying to convince myself it was just bad timing. But then, the pit in my stomach refused to lie. I went back to her apartment that night, hoping for some kind of explanation. Her suitcase was still there, her toothbrush untouched. But then I noticed her phone buzzing quietly on the table. I shouldn't have touched it. I knew it, but I did. And that's when I saw it, a thread of messages, notifications buried beneath mundane work chats. Her texts weren't to a client. They were to someone named Mark. Flirty, casual, intimate. Messages that made my vision blur and my hands shake. Wish you were here, one said. Counting down the days until I see you, another. Every word felt like a knife twisting. I sat on the couch, numb, trying to breathe. My wife was lying. To me. I kept scrolling, hoping I'd wake up from some horrible nightmare. But the proof was there. Dates, photos, times when she claimed to be working late. My world shrank to the size of my living room, the walls closing in with every message I read. The next morning, she called. Hey, what's wrong? She said, her voice casual, almost cheerful. My throat tightened. I didn't answer right away, letting silence speak instead. She noticed. Wasim, are you there? I swallowed hard. Sarah, why didn't you answer me yesterday? Why are your texts? I stopped myself. The words felt wrong, and yet unavoidable. She hesitated, the line almost vibrating with tension. Wasim, you're overthinking. It's not what you think. Her voice cracked slightly, but I had already seen enough to know it was exactly what I thought. I drove over to meet her that evening. She was waiting outside, suitcase in hand, eyes wide like she had been caught. We didn't speak as I led her inside. The apartment felt smaller somehow, every corner a reminder of lies and unspoken truths. She tried to explain. It was just a mistake, she said. I didn't mean for it to happen. I wanted to hate her, scream, cry. But all I could do was listen, feeling my love and anger fighting inside me like fire and ice. Every memory we shared, the late-night talks, lazy Sunday mornings, was suddenly shadowed with betrayal. We sat in silence for a long time. I looked at her, trying to reconcile the woman I loved with the one who had deceived me. How do I trust you again? I asked finally, my voice barely above a whisper. She had no answer. And that answer, in a way, said everything. In the days that followed, I moved through a haze. I replayed every smile, every touch, wondering what had been real. But amidst the heartbreak, something else grew, a quiet strength. I realized I couldn't change her choices, couldn't force her remorse, couldn't reclaim the love that had been broken. But I could reclaim myself. I could choose honesty, dignity, and the slow rebuilding of my own life. I don't know what the future holds, She left, her suitcase finally gone. The apartment was emptier than ever, but in that emptiness, I found clarity. I learned that love isn't enough when trust is gone. I learned that heartbreak can hurt, but it can also teach. Sometimes I catch myself staring at her empty side of the bed, but the ache doesn't consume me anymore. I breathe, I live, I move forward. And though I mourn the life I thought I had, I also embrace the one I still can shape. If you've ever felt betrayed, if you've ever questioned someone you loved, know that your feelings are valid. And though it hurts, there's a path forward. Trust yourself enough to walk it.